Yeah.
Should we go through the sampler today?
Yeah, I think sampler. And do you want to try your meme thing again?
Yeah, I'll try it again. Yeah.
Reassure the viewers of the last live stream that you can actually trade. My R bot now has some Firefox in it, thanks to you. So.
Well, you can't sell it because Firefox has a weird tax. So like, I mean, maybe you can. Maybe you can if
probably sell it on Rain, right?
No, I couldn't sell it on Rain.
How
I can buy it. I can buy it.
You can buy it, but you can't sell it.
Yeah. Because something weird in the code. Like I bet you can, how people do these weird things with the tokens, but there's some weird thing going on.
You have to research the tokenomics and figure out how to do it.
Well, yeah, it's just because it's trying to, like, I can see when I bought it that it split. Sorry, when I withdrew it, I tried to withdraw it and I couldn't even fully withdraw it.
Wow. Did you do any research into this token before you bought it?
No, I just looked at it. It's just the most traded thing on Dex Screener on Flare. That was literally my research.
Well, other people must be selling it somehow.
I assume that as we've seen with other weird tokens, they make it so it works with Uni. Like they basically have really they're only concerned about one venue for trading.
Yeah, that is pretty common. So it's like,
it's not a serious thing. It's just like, yeah. I mean, it has no purpose other than just gambling. So
right, they've like hard coded the specific smart contracts that are allowed to interact with that, and then they'll have some. I'm sure if you talk to the team, they'll probably say like bots or something. They'll have some loose justification as to why other smart contracts should not be allowed to do stuff with it.
I mean, either they've hard coded, they may not have hard coded the contract specifically, but they just don't care about any others. Yeah.
No, I get it. It's just like, that's the way things go these days.
It's annoying for anyone who wants to just like mess about with the token. I mean, if I was creating a token, I definitely would want people to be able to trade it wherever and do whatever, and not want to reduce. Like, I would be trading this token right now. I'd be trading Firefox. I'd be buying and selling it.
Yeah, well, plenty more tokens in the sea, and we don't have a token, so your opinion, I'll have to wait for another day.
Okay, well, let's just like let's wait for people to come. So
yeah.
Here we go.
Do you have what you did last time saved? Like, could you just rerun the exact same thing with a different starting point or something?
I've got it saved. I mean, maybe we can look at the strat, because in the end, I went pretty crazy. I kind of tied myself, like I went on a bit of a journey with it and tied myself in a bit of a knot, and then it could probably be refactored, which maybe we could look at like ways I could refactor it, because technically I think it works, but I don't think it's the best. I don't think it's the most elegant strat. So
yeah, I think the way that you're going about it is, unless something fundamentally changes, you're probably just going to end up at the flipper debit.
Well, I did end up, I basically do have flipper debit, except I'm not doing it in one order. I'll show you what I did. I did something kind of weird, because I ended up having two scenarios.
Yeah, show me.
Yeah, well, actually, first of all, let's pick a token. So I sort by basically, if you sort by liquidity, it's like literally these random ones. I don't know what Helion or Apsis are.
That was at 2 million of liquidity. That's pretty solid liquidity. Oh, but it's only got a 6 million market cap. So that's interesting. That's a bit sus.
Yeah, something weird's going on with this one. But then after that, it's literally just looked like, check it out, it's literally Firefox is
These are more normal, like that's a more normal amount of liquidity, like 200k for 1.6 mil market cap.
what do you think I should be looking at if I'm looking for a good meme coin to trade? Probably.
I'm not a meme coin trader. Like,
I know, but let's just pretend that you were.
if I pretend that I was, oh well, I would have bought Doge years ago and have retired somewhere.
Makers? Do I want lots of makers? Because do I want a lot of? I mean, it's pretty funny.
Yeah. So I mean, you need. I mean, which one's going to go up, Josh? That's the real question.
Well, I just don't. There's no point trying to trade something. I don't think there's much point trying to trade something in this way that has really low volume, because there's just not enough opportunity to actually make interesting trades if no one's trading.
Volume. I mean, I wish it showed volatility. That would actually be better. Because volume, you can easily just wash trade. Like, you can just make some money go around in a circle, and then you've got volume. But if you don't actually have price moving associated with that volume, and then people going back and forward, and some people buying and some people selling, it could easily just be fake volume.
What about this token, Ninja token? Ninja token has gone up 78% in the last hour. And
so we're gonna if only you already had some so you could sell it.
There's 2.2k liquidity. Maybe that's not good.
Yeah, well, so the volume's only $300 on that. Okay, so what would I actually look at? If I really wanted to do this, I would definitely be comparing the volume to the liquidity, because if the volume is very high or very low compared to the liquidity, then that might be an indication that the numbers aren't totally natural. Because LPs are, I mean, okay, that's not necessarily true. I don't want to like offend anyone who's running a meme coin. So one thing that people who run meme coins do is they like put a bunch of liquidity in, and then they burn the LP tokens, and that sort of like seeds the pool, and then everybody knows that they can't rug. So that is actually a good thing. So having some liquidity there, and maybe the volume just hasn't kicked off yet, could be a thing that's actually legit. It's
pretty hard to find anything worth trading. Well, this one's Cyber Woman of Flair. Has 7.k volume and 73k liquidity.
I think I did. Where did I see this before? I think that one popped up somewhere before.
It has 11 makers in the past 24 hours.
34 transactions. Yeah, I mean, let's do it. What's the worst that can happen?
Okay, so I mean, the problem is if my whole thing, right, is that it buys and it sells 10 minutes later or whatever. So if there's no transactions that happen between my buy and the sell, then there's really not much point. And if it's only one, then it's also pretty hilarious. It's like,
all right, I reckon let's do Helion, because that's the only one that has enough transactions that you might actually get one in the course of a relatively short call, like, you know.
Okay, Helion. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Is this on? I assume this is on a Gnosis.
There you go. Look at that. This has got trades going through.
All right, cool. Let's grab it. Okay, so where's the token? Here it is.
Those are some very small trades, but that's okay because we're going to be doing some small trades too. That's all.
Yeah,
everyone's doing the same size trade.
So let me pull up. Let me pull up this strap. All right, so this is what I had before. So I had, my tokens, and I had buy and sell.
Mm-hmm.
And I set up the binding, so my approximate target price. Oh, yeah, I kind of went crazy. I don't know what happened. I got really, my auction is a really weird auction in the end.
Is this your like refactored version of what you were doing before?
Yeah, it's a really weird option. Maybe we can fix it first. So
Okay.
it decreases by 1%.
Is this going to take a long time? Because if it is, maybe we should just switch over to the sampler.
Well, I can just run it literally as it is right now, which is crazy. Oh, let's just try it. Okay.
Just set the prices and then put it up and see what happens.
Okay, so the price was, I need the price in, the price is 5.51133 wrap flare. So I'll set my target price at 5. I'll set it at 5 flare. So I do an auction over, yeah, so basically what it does is it doubles this target and then it decreases by 1% every second. So in 200 seconds, it hits this price. That's how I did it.
In 2.5 seconds?
No, in one, it decreases by 1% every second. But it starts at double this. So it starts at, it'll start at 10.
200 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, 100%, 200. Yeah, 200. So in like 3 minutes, it will go. In 3 minutes, it'll be here.
Let's do it. Whatever.
And so I set this price slightly below. Then eventually it'll intersect.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so this is helium, which should check, but I assume it has 18 decimals. Yep. I need my start time, which I'll set for. I'll set the start time in like 5 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
And then I'll hold for 10 minutes. Like 600. That's 10 minutes, yeah. No, I'll hold for longer. I'll hold for 15 minutes. Yeah, that's it. That's all I have to do. And then it figures out everything, so then I can just deploy 2 strats. This still says FLX, so I'm obviously not buying HLN now. It's going to be pretty funny. And it would spend all of the wrap flare in my vault to buy.
Did you set a new vault ID? Just
I don't have any wrap flare on that vault anyway. Oh, but yeah, true. The other order might pick it up later, right?
We could mention a upcoming upgrade very soon. I'm literally reviewing it right now. It might even be ready later tonight. Is that you don't have to do this anymore, actually. So the vault IDs, if you don't set them, they will be randomly generated, and they will all be the same for the order. So it'll randomly generate a number and then use that, or like a hash hex thing. It'll use that for the same vault ID for the whole order. So if you just don't set anything and then you deploy the order, it'll give you a new random vault, and then you can just deposit into that vault like you normally would. Because one of the things that is kind of annoying is exactly what Josh is doing right now, which is where you load up a strat that you want to reuse, and then you have to like go and remember to update the vault ID. So this should make it a lot smoother to reuse strats.
Okay, here's my strat deployed. Yeah, it's gonna be way better. So here's my strat deployed, so now I'm gonna deposit into my. Oh, I updated it just then, but it's got the same.
You're just proving my point. Just you won't have to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, now I have to check if I have any other active orders connected to this vault. I have a lot of orders connected to it.
Yeah, it's crazy. I just redeploy it.
All right. It's Start again. That's weird
I'm
though.
kind of glad that you did that because it makes the upcoming feature seem extra good.
Oh, it's so much better. Yeah, dealing with vault IDs. I think basically it's mostly annoying, and sometimes you might like. I think it's actually, it definitely feels like an advanced thing to be chaining together orders.
Yeah, sure. It is an advanced thing, but now you won't have to worry about it generally unless you actually want it, which is the way things should be.
All right, so here we go. Is this not a valid vault ID or something? Maybe I've stuffed up, like this isn't actually a legitimate vault ID. What's the command to get 32 random bytes? Open SSL.
It's not in the comments there. Yeah, it's OpenSSL rand -hex32.
No. Oh, maybe just hex.
Hex.
No.
Sorry, I got it here. I'll get it for you.
Open.
It is. It is. Oh, it's alright. I'll paste it to you.
Do I need dash round?
No.
Oh, with space.
Mhm.
Hex space 32.
Yeah. Doesn't everyone have that top of mind all the time?
Cool. There we go. Okay. Let's try this again. This one's going to start in 4 minutes. Try it again. Oh, so this doesn't have valid deployments found. Must have typoed somewhere. Nope. Let's try that again. What did I do? Nope. I've messed up the strat somehow.
What have you done? You deployed it like 2 minutes ago. What did you do?
I know, but I've changed something and then I've saved it. And I've clearly saved the thing that I messed up.
Do you not have the Syndicate repo?
No.
Oh, really?
But let's have a look. Tell me if you can see the problem. Alt ID, fine. Inputs, outputs, fine. That's fine, right? Fine, so. I cannot figure out what I've messed up.
I got that the other day. I'm trying to remember what I was doing. ended up being something really basic.
Yeah, I feel like it's like I have a space somewhere or something, or an indentation. Okay.
Do you need an order book on this scenario? Let me have a look.
I don't think so.
Oh no, you don't need that.
It says failed to pass token, but I don't know if that's a token. That
Order,
looks like it. That was when I deleted the order. I was just trying to see if I break into the way. I feel like there's something wrong with this YAML. I don't know. Maybe you can talk about the sampler and I can try to figure this out.
Yeah, I can do that. I have the sampler in Git, so if I mess something up, I'll know. Actually, before I talk about the sampler, I do want to show something else.
Are you sharing?
Hold on a sec. Hearing that? So I'm pretty happy that this seems to be working. So not the last stream that we did, but the one before. We went into all the Flipper Dipper details. And at the end of that, we're talking about doing a version of the Flipper Dipper that could initialize itself with a bigger auction. So the way that it works before this is that there would be some initialization logic, like an oracle or something, that would set the initial trade. And then after the initial trade goes through, it will rotate back and forward between the pair based on the amount of tokens that you have of each in each direction. So the Flipper Dipper is based on a Dutch auction anyway. So this, actually I'll pull the source up so you can see it. So this now initializes with a very large Dutch auction. So it starts at a crazy large number, like 1e to the 36, and then it has a half-life every 30 minutes. So it halves the price every 30 minutes. So that's enough to cover basically all possible prices within a couple of days, which means that I tested this with just the Flare and USD pair, and that worked. So then I tried setting it up with ETH as well, and that worked through. So it initialized itself like just earlier today, actually. So it went from Wrap Flare to Tether, and then Tether to ETH. So now it's initialized starting balances for all three of the tokens in this order, which now means that it should be able to rotate between any of these three tokens. So previously when we had Flare and USD, it was more simple. Basically, if it was in Flare, it would try to sell the Flare for Tether, to try and get more Tether than it had before. And if it was in Tether, it would try to buy back the Flare at a better rate than it had before to get more Flare than it had the last time. So that was great. This one has 3 tokens though, so it's currently in ETH. So what it's going to try to do now is sell the ETH for either Flare or Tether. So because Flare and Tether are both each doing their own thing, in theory, there should be more opportunity for the ETH to be up relative to either of those. So what I'm hoping will happen is basically more trades.
Sick.
That's the basic theory. So I didn't find a wrapped Bitcoin token that I thought I could use. So if anyone knows one, like, let me know. This is on Flare Network. But I think it would be cool to throw in some Bitcoin in the mix as well, because Bitcoin and Ethereum are pretty correlated and have been for years. So the ratio does move a bit sometimes, but it generally like crabs quite a lot, and they're quite volatile against each other too. So I thought having those two in the mix with other tokens,
yeah,
this is the theory, is like it should like generate some volatility, and this is what you need in this strategy, is volatility to get the trades moving. So when the market does move, you've got some profit in the bank basically from the time that you were going back and forward, so that when it actually does move and you go chasing the market and then you have to like reestablish it, then you should be good to go again. Also, I'm not really 100% sure of this, but I'm hoping that having more tokens in the mix means you don't have to go chasing as often anyway, because if one of the tokens goes off somewhere, maybe the other ones can keep going while the other one's doing whatever it's doing, and then maybe it comes back again. And maybe even the profit that you make with the other tokens will help it catch up to the one that moved without you needing to actually take a loss in the meantime. So I'm pretty excited about this working.
So how much you got? Can you tell how much you're up on this one? Not really.
No, but it's only initialized. Like it literally only initialized a few hours ago.
Oh, okay, cool. Oh, I can understand. So it's touched all of the tokens now.
Yeah. So in the process of moving through the tokens, it is saved reference balances and reference prices, and now this is the baseline to beat basically from here on out. So we should see, I mean, hopefully we see rotations. One thing I did have to do is, because I made this number so big at the start, we actually ran out of precision on the Dutch auction. So to get this ridiculously large number small enough to actually go below 1, I just did a bit of a hack. I'm going to come up with a better way to do this later, but it basically has it multiplies the auction multiple times, and if you multiply a number that's smaller than 1 by itself, you get a smaller number. So we can just get more precision out of the same thing by multiplying it against itself rather than using the power word directly.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that people probably almost never have to care about. It was just sort of like an interesting thing that popped up when I tried to do a Dutch auction that started at, what do you even call 18 zeros? Quite a lot. It's 6. Is that a septillion? No, it's a. It's not. It's the other way. It's a pentillion. It's a big number. If you're ever worried about your tokens having a price in the pentillions, then you'll need this code. So I kind of wanted to push it to the extreme just to prove a point. You don't actually need to do this.
Yeah.
So, but it's cool that it does work at that level.
I think I figured this out, by the way.
Nice. Well,
I think the vault ID is
right now if you want to.
I think the voltage is not long enough. Or something.
Oh, okay.
Or something wrong with
That's
the
weird.
voltage, basically. It wasn't able to pass that voltage properly.
That's pretty weird. Well, let's talk about samplers, because we said that we would, and actually, it's a pretty cool thing to be doing. So the problem that we're trying to solve here, let's start with the problem, is that you want to use some on-chain data over time, and the source of that data is kind of outside your control, and maybe it even has historical data, but the sampling rate, the retention rate, all of that is also outside of your control. So even if you're using, say, like a Uniswap twap, it has historical data, but they only save a certain number of records. So the exact number that they store is like per pool even. There's no like consistent number. So it might be saving 65,000 values, or it might be saving 100 values. I don't know, but it's not even an amount of time. So it's not great. Like basically you don't have control over the data that might be available later. And this is pretty normal in oracles. So same for the FTSOs on Flare, same for Chainlink, same for whatever. Even if it's not an oracle, it could be like somebody's wallet balance. If you actually did want to like copy trade whales, you might want to sample their wallet balance for tokens over a period of time. The point is that this is a general pattern that is trying to solve a problem where you don't just want to make your strategies in terms of what's happening right now, but you might want to have data over a period of time. So the way that we do that conceptually is we need to pay for it. So there is some gas involved in saving a number. It's not a huge amount, but there is some. So you can create a private oracle where you basically are going to say, here is an amount of Flare that I'm willing to offer up for anybody, don't care who, to come through and run this strategy. And when the strategy runs, it will save the whatever it is that you want to sample. So in this example, it's getting the FTSO price and then it's setting it. So it's literally just saving the FTSO price. So the sampling bit is actually really simple. You just get the data that you want to, this can be anything. Like I said, it could be somebody's wallet balance, it could be an FTSO price, it could be alt balances, like anything that you can get or calculate on chain, you literally just save it and you're done. Now you've got a private oracle for whatever that thing is. You might want to get more, like this is just going to save one value under the same key. So this is only saving a single data point. It's overriding it each time. You may want to save a series of data points. Like maybe you want to collect 10 data points, or maybe you want to collect, yeah, like 10. There's an example in PubStrats that a little bit more, like it's connected to 2 lines of code that stores an index. So basically, index.
Oh, your microphone's gone weird.
Oh, has it? Hello?
Yeah, it's better now. You went on the water for a second.
Okay.
So you could also save like derived data, right? So you could do a whole bunch of calculations and then save the derived thing.
Yeah, go nuts. Like anything you want. Literally use all the words. And then I think this example is nice because it shows that it's actually really simple conceptually. You just have a value and you save it. There's really not much to it, but you can build on this pattern and you can save multiple values, you can derive values, you can do whatever you want really. And then the trick The trick is that we're going to set the price to 0. So we're going to offer up some flare, and we're going to set the price to 0, the IO ratio. The IO ratio is always the amount of input that you expect for a certain amount, for the output that is happening. So if you set this to 0, you're basically saying, I'm giving up this much flare and I don't expect anything in return. So you're essentially just saying, this is how much I'm willing to pay for somebody to come and update my oracle. So you're just giving your sampler a budget. And then basically it's on you to write a strategy that uses the sampler that's going to make you more money than the sampler costs over time, pretty much. Which on Flare, hopefully shouldn't be that difficult because the gas is really cheap. This is costing about 0.02 flare per sample, and one flare is 3 cents, so it's like $0.0006 per sample. So you could be sampling like every hour or multiple times an hour, and it's still not going to cost you a significant amount.
If you can use your like sample data amongst multiple strats, then you're getting.
That's another good point. Yeah, that is actually another really good point. I forgot to mention that. And while we were going over this in chat during the week, that is something that came up, which is that all your orders share the same keys. So it's specific per owner. So I can't mess with your samples, Josh, because we have different keys, we're different owners, but we can, all our own orders all share the same storage. So in this case, that's really good because it means you can have the sampler writing, and you can just have like a nice, neat strategy that just runs in its own accord, that is doing sampling regularly. And then totally separate to that, you can make other strategies, as many as you want, that'll use the same samples to do their own calculations and their own trading. So you could really easily make a sampler. In this case, it's getting the current flare price every hour. Great, okay. So every hour we sample. And then you could make one trading strategy that wants to sell flare when the current price is 1% above that. And then you could make a trading strategy that does 2% above that. And you could run them in parallel and A/B test the performance of two strategies with different parameters, but they're using the same Oracle data. So you kind of get that efficiency of scale when you start setting up. You're reusing your oracles like across as many different trading algorithms as you want at that point.
And then maybe one day we can share them between people.
That would be cool to do. Yeah, so that is entirely possible with a few upgrades to the contracts, because it should be possible to have a contract be the owner. So if a contract was the owner, the contract could control deploying a sampler, right? And then nobody can mess with the sampler, which is important, because if you're relying on a sampler and then the owner comes along and brugs the sampler, then they're brugging your strat as well. So if a contract owned a sampler, then you basically have a public good oracle at that point. So as long as that contract gave you a way to top it up, so you can put some more flare into the vault that the sampler is using to pay the bounties out of, then you basically have, you have like a public good sampler at that point. So anyone can come along and top it up and it'll keep going. So to do that, we'd want a word that works like get, that lets you specify the owner of the get. So you could say, I don't want to do a get on my data. I want to do a get on the public good contracts data. So we need like a new word, but it doesn't seem like a huge amount of work to get this. It's a medium amount of work to make that happen. So yeah, that'd be pretty cool. We basically have strat oracles that people could put in contracts and deploy if they thought they had a good oracle idea.
I just aped, by the way.
Oh, you did it? So it deployed?
Yeah, I just aped in
It was the vault
Helium.
ID?
Hey?
Was it the vault ID?
Yeah, something weird was with Vault ID. So I aped in. So I don't know how. It's hard to say how accurate my option is. I feel like I got a worse price than the market.
If you're doing 1% every second, you're operating at the level that the bot might just randomly let a few percent slip.
Yeah, true. So I should go slower, basically.
Yeah. You got to find that sweet spot, because if you go too fast, then by the time the bot sees it and they submit it to the mempool and the block gets mined, like a few seconds may have passed. That could cost you like 5-10%.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fast auction.
Because my ratio was 0.172 HLN to flare. And if I flip the price on Dex Screener, I get 181. So I got, whatever the difference between 181 and 172 is.
This is still a better result than last week.
Way better.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So for everyone who didn't see our last live stream, the bot wasn't connected to Blaze Swap.
5%. So I got a price that was 5% worse than the market. So lesson is, in this case where I actually know what the market price is and I'm intending to trade pretty soon, I don't think I need to start my auction at double. I could start my auction at like just a little bit over and then come down in much smaller increments, far slower.
Yeah. It does feel like patience is a good thing with all of this stuff. Like if you can wait for your strategies to take a little bit extra to actually get a good price, then you might actually get a good price.
Yeah, well, let's see, because now 15 minutes exactly.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ape the other way.
Yeah. Well, we're streaming, so we don't have all day. You can't wait. I mean, the Flipper Dipper takes up to 2.5 days to initialize, so we can't wait around like that.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on the strat again. I'm gonna do this every live stream. I'm gonna pick a random meme coin, and I'm gonna doing this until I can get it. I mean, I need to get at least a good accurate market price for my ape.
I like this. We should try like each live stream to have somehow improved our strategies, which I think today we did. I got a 3-way self-initializing Flipper Dipper, and you have an ape.
Yours is so much more serious than mine. Mine is so dumb.
It cleared today, so that's an improvement.
My strategy is really dumb. I also want to make it into the same order, because at the moment I have to deploy 2 separate orders.
Oh, yeah, that's annoying.
Basically, we need negative numbers, and then we can do negative growth, and then we can really easily do auctions.
I know, numbers. Yeah, well, we have 1 number improvement coming soon. Negative numbers will be, I don't know, it's not that big a deal. It's just a bit of a grind because there's so many words. They all need updating, and every single one of them has like edge cases that have to be handled.
I'm starting to collect words that eventually I might take a crack at doing. Like, I think, order set and order get. Yeah. I think it's just super useful. Like it's just annoying having to remember to put hashes in. Run once, I think would be a good word.
How does that work? Oh, like it initializes itself?
it just sets. Yeah, it's just when it runs, it just basically does the pattern of get already ran, ensure not already ran, set already ran, just like that little 3-line thing. You just write run once, and it would just mean that order will just run once. Or it could be like run a number of times, and then you could put in like 1 or 3 or whatever, and it would just like that literally, or that order can only run that many times.
Yeah, this on the screen right here probably could be wordified somehow as well, like a cooldown pattern.
Yeah, cooldown. I've got that written down.
Kind of tedious to like have to do the same 3 lines over and over again.
Yeah, because imagine. Yeah, because the growth, and you'll set your cooldown key.
Oh yeah.
So it's actually all of that would just be replaced with a cooldown and a number.
So auctions are pretty chill these days. They used to be a lot more difficult, but like you can just go linear growth or exponential growth or whatever, and then put in that, and then you've got an auction. That's not so bad. But the cooldown stuff is more painful.
But isn't that going up?
Yeah, I know you want negative numbers, and then you'll be able to go down. This one's going up. So I didn't actually explain this before, but this is doing an auction because we don't know ahead of time what the gas price is going to be on the network. It could be congested. So it starts at a base price.
Oh, right. I see.
Bounty start, which is the minimum that it'll offer for gas, because there's no point offering a ridiculously small amount. So there's some minimum amount that you're willing to pay for each sample, and then it will go up a certain amount per second, which is the rate. And then it has a maximum, so it's not just going to pay like an unlimited amount. It will max out. So if the network's too congested, it'll give up again. So there's basically a range of gas values that this strategy will offer in order to top up the oracle, and it'll just ramp up each second until it gets to the point that some bot or whoever feels like that's worth clearing, which should be pretty close to the cost of the transaction itself. Because all the bot does is it simulates trying to take the transaction, and then in the simulation it sees how much gas it used, and then if that gas is less than what the bounty's offering, then it's a profit. So there's no reason why a bot wouldn't take a profitable trade. So the bounty works pretty well, actually. But that's what this is doing. That's these lines here.
You're just increasing the bait.
Yeah. I think if your eyes aren't attuned to the Rainlang yet, it's good to have a bit of an explanation and just see there's like, here's the bit that sets the oracle value, here's the bit that does the cooldown, because you only want to sample every so often, here's the bit that's doing a gas bounty, and then because the price is 0, it's not expecting anything in return because the value to the strategy is the oracle, not something else. And then we have the other side of it, which is the thing that can trade off it. So this bit is just getting samples. It's just using the same key. So like I said before, all your keys are shared across all of your orders. So now you can do whatever you want with it in the actual trading logic, because you just did a get on the same key. So there's really no complexity on the reading side, actually. All the complexity in this strat is just the actual trading logic. There's no complexity using the sampler. Yeah.
Can you explain how this one's using the sampled data to trade?
Yeah, I can. So it's reading the sample, which happens once every hour, and then it puts a spread on that. So this is an example of chaining. So exactly what you were saying before, where you said that you want to write your your aping strategy. So instead of being two different orders that you both have to deploy, you just want to have one order. This is an example of that. So when you deploy this, you say the input is, well, this is Flare for dollars. So the input is Tether and the output is Flare. But then you also put in the output is Tether and the input is Flare. So you put the opposite direction in the valid inputs for the order. And then what that would do is when somebody wants to take the trade, they, as the taker, say what the input is and what the output is going to be. The contract, the Raindex contract won't let you set the input and the output to be the same thing. That's not allowed. So they have to pick two different tokens for the input and the output. So when the taker says, okay, the input is going to be Flare and the output is going to be Tether, then the taker is saying like, okay, the order is selling Flare. So the order writes all the logic to what the price should be if it's selling. And then if the opposite happened, so the taker was going to say, okay, now you're buying Flare, then the order calculates a price for buying Flare. And I know that sounds complicated having them both, but because you're always setting the price as the input divided by the output, all you're really doing in the end is, doesn't matter what strategy you're writing, it doesn't matter what complicated logic you have or simple logic, allowed to write simple trading strategies too. It doesn't matter what it is, you're always basically calculating a spread, right? When you do it this way. Because if you say the IO ratio is 1.01, that's 1% spread. It works in both directions. So whether you're buying or selling, 1.01 is still the amount that you want for a 1% spread. So it makes the numbers that you have to calculate always the same thing in the end, right? So then all you need to do to swap between buying and selling, if you have a price, like your base price, which you may have taken from the sampler, which is only one direction, because the FTSO price is just the selling price. It's not the buying price. If you want to flip the selling price to the buying price, you just use the inv word, which just inverses the price. So it's 1 on the price. So if it was $2 for something and you inverse it, you get 0.5, right? It just flips it. So this whole strategy is, got to cool down again. On this one, we only want this one to run every so often. We've got the sample price. I don't think I'll go into exactly what I'm doing there on this call. Maybe we can do it in the next one. We could go into quote binding in the next live stream. It's basically a way to test the strategy, which is a good thing to have. You can have some logic that you're actually going to deploy, and then you can have some logic that you never deploy, but you can make charts and things out of it, right? So you could like run the scenario, and right now it's actually generating random values, which is going to be less impressive because of these particular charts, which only show a single number. But this is based on live on-chain data. So this is actually showing what I just said. When you're buying Flare, then you need to calculate a value, which is how much Flare you're going to get, the input for the output, which is dollars. When you're selling Flare, it's the inverse, right? This is the same thing that you'd see when you look at an Oracle, or if you're on TradingView, or like the prices that you're used to are typically going to be quoted as the selling direction. It's like, if I had one flare and I was selling my one flare, how many dollars would I get? Okay, you get 2.7 cents for that. You pretty rarely see the buying direction, which works fine on a centralized exchange because it's pretty easy for the centralized exchange to go through all their pairs and say like, okay, this one's the main one, you know, like, and say, oh, dollars is the main one. But in a decentralized setting, if I'm doing Bitcoin and ETH, which one is the main one? You know?
Yeah, that's a really weird one. That's a really weird pair.
But that's what you run up against in like a decentralized context, is you basically just have inputs and outputs. There's not necessarily always going to be something that's obviously the main token.
Well, exchanges quote, I mean, to be fair, exchanges quote in the token that isn't even part of the pair. So like they give you quotes in dollars.
They do a conversion. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
When dollars isn't either of the tokens.
Yeah, you know why that's dangerous in a DEX setting is that we don't have a dollar on chain. We have stable coins that have various peg mechanisms, but protocols do end up in danger when they hard code stables being equal to 1, which they do. Yeah. So yeah. There's a bit of a learning curve here, but it's there for a reason. It's because we're trying to make this in the end, we're trying to make it as standardized across any possible thing that you could want to trade, no matter which network you're on or what tokens they are. We just want a standard. So it's always input output. And yeah, you can just chart it and see it. These charts, you know what, let's go into that next stream. Next stream, we can do like charting, testing. We can actually make some charts that aren't just a single number. We could do like a line chart and stuff, do a bit more of that, show some more interesting things.
Yeah, it would be cool to show the charts actually, yeah. Agree.
Yeah. And this is like the debug panel, which is like showing you literally like what every single thing in here is being calculated at based on live on-chain data. So there's a lot of cool stuff there, but we'll be here all day if I get into that.
By the way, I aped the other way.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I lost money. Surprise, surprise.
We need to set the betting thing up on. Have we got the betting thing set up?
No.
That
would be fun though.
We'll set that up, and then I'll probably bet against you. I think you'll probably lose money quite
in most cases
on the strategies that you make up on the spot at the start of the stream.
Yeah, so, well, do you want to see how I went?
Yeah, let's go. All right, I think I'm done just like talking about strategies, so let's see how you went.
Yeah, this is the end of the call. This is the end of the stream. Is this funny how I went? So, wait, let's go back to, so I started here, and I aped exactly 5. I aped exactly 5 flare in, and I got 0.86 HLN. I did a pretty bad price, like I said. And then that was at 4:14. That was 20 minutes ago. And then 15 minutes later, I went back the other way and I got 4.36 flare. It's 386 flare. Yeah. At also worse ratio than the market. So I think I mostly lost on the fact my auction was inaccurate. Like my auction overshot both times. So I'm down 13%. But also, like if you look at DEX Screener, not that much actually happened in that time either. Like it's not like there was loads of trades in that 15 minutes for anything to really
basically happen. Just wash traded the Helion.
Well, I gave a bunch away. So weird thing is I can't actually see like my first trade.
I get it. I'm gonna see where it went. I'm gonna see if it ended up on my bot.
But I would expect to be able to see. I can see here my trade back the other way. But I can't see my other trade unless it must be this one, but that's not how much wrap flare.
Oh no, I didn't get your Helion. Dang, someone else must have got it.
This is really weird. So this is my first. Okay, that's not mine. So which one's mine? Why can't I see my original trade? This transaction.
On deck screen, you mean?
Yeah. 22 minutes ago.
What? It went to Enosis. Does that show up on Enosis? Is it showing that Dex?
So yeah.
Yeah. So it went to Enosis, but is Enosis on deck screen, or I thought it was? We're looking at place.
Oh, also it looks like the route. I didn't know. Maybe because it didn't take that route, because it went from HLN to APS to flare. Actually.
Okay. Cool.
And this is HLN to FLR. So actually, I want. This is where my trade happened. My first one happened. Yeah, here it is.
Nice. This is the magic of solving.
That's kind of crazy. Oh.
Yeah.
So it was, I had an optimum. So even though I didn't have to specify execution path. This was intense.
Yeah, we got intense.
I specified an intent, and then
You did.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I wonder if my auction hadn't overshot, that I would have got the other route.
I reckon you just made it too fast. Because honestly, my bot, I'm only running it once every 30 seconds, and the other ones aren't running. Oh, yours is running like pretty fast.
Oh, someone asked a question.
Yeah.
Is the taker another Raindex strategy / order? Which taker do you mean?
When did they ask the question? It might have been a little while ago when I was talking about the order.
It doesn't. It doesn't have
Oh, it doesn't say the time?
No.
It was probably when I was talking about takers with the order like 10 minutes ago. So the answer is that.
Oh, someone asked for TLDR on what's going on in here. Okay, so we made a smart contract language and a DEX where you can write trading strategies in the language. So like if I go back to the DEX. So this is the DEX. So you can write like a strategy here. So which one was it? This is so this one apes into a token and then apes out 15 minutes later, 900 seconds later.
Yeah, so that's the configuration for it.
Yeah, so you write your thing and then you can deploy it. And you've written an actual smart contract. And it's kind of like intense in that my order, my order here has a vault, which I can top up with tokens. And then I don't have to specify the execution path, like where it's actually going to get traded. I just say what I want and my strategy evaluates. Yeah. And a solver picks it up and makes the trade happen. So I wrote a really dumb strategy that, or fully aped out of wrapped flare into this token, Helion, and then 15 minutes later did the reverse, which is not a smart strategy, but we just wanted to see what would happen. And I lost mine.
You also made the auction way too fast, so it actually overshot the market by the time anything could happen.
Yeah. But it is pretty cool. If you want to, we've got Telegram. I'll put the Telegram in the group, but if you want to come hang out and like learn how to write the language, there's a bunch of people who are learning, and it's pretty fun, and everything's permissionless, and open source. Like we don't have a line of closed source code. What's it? Oh, he's like, get me a demarc indicator oracle. Can we get that, Dave? Can we get a demarc indicator oracle?
I mean, I don't make oracles.
But we could. No, actually, I think we could. Like you wouldn't have to make it. You wouldn't have to build the oracle. Like we were showing before, that you can write a strategy which is only purpose is to basically collect data and to produce, like, and can also produce derived data. So you could write a demarc oracle yourself in Rainlang basically, and then run that every 30 seconds or whatever, and build that like data point for yourself, and then use it in your other strategies to make decisions about whether to buy or sell.
Yeah, so if you, after Josh puts this on YouTube, if you go back and watch the first half of the middle half of the stream, it'll go over all of that in detail.
Yeah, Dave was showing how he's got a sample, and it's also a sampler strategy, which is literally its purpose is to sample and create price series, and that's also open source, so you can like look at his strat and use and tweak it. So I said, okay, it looks like I need to make a bounty caster or something. Yeah, because I can't build shit. Yeah, you never know. You might be able to. Like the whole idea of Rainlang is it's supposed to be an easier to read and write smart contract language. So the goal
is easier. If you get stuck, just tell me. Like literally, I'm in Telegram and just seeing where people are getting stuck, and then updating the language to be less difficult.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can
that's
see,
like all we're doing all the time.
Like this is the whole contract, this one, and it and all of them just evaluate to an amount and a price. It's like more like Excel formulas.
Yeah,
like it's far closer to Excel formulas than it is to like Solidity.
Yeah, and there's even a newer version of the language that is like compared to this strategy that's up, that's got like proper decimal numbers and stuff in it, which you surprisingly don't have on the blockchain normally. So that'll be like a pretty sweet upgrade as well.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've been on for a while. I think we're done today. So someone said, I'm surprised that the trade strat using the sampler has not made trades USDT for Rapflow.
Trade strat using the sampler. Oh, you mean going back the other way to buy?
Yes.
Oh yeah, I got the order hash and a transaction hash from that one. I'm gonna go through the logs in the bot and just see if there's anything sus in there, and then like go from there. Pretty much we need to. So the bot knows everything that's going on. We need to bring some of that information into the front end as well, make that kind of self-diagnosis more easy, because that is like it would be nice if you could just sort of like, even if it wasn't happening, it'd be not just nice, like it's pretty important actually. Like if something's not running, that's also important information to be like, well, why isn't it running? So
one thing I was thinking is kind of interesting is that when we have the router built in Rust, we could just put it in the app, and then you could actually just search your own routes. Like you could use the same, like if we're going to build something that searches for the best market prices for pairs, we could just put that in the app. You wouldn't run on a loop, but you would just click a button specifically for your order to see what the best route price was at that time. You could compare it to what your order currently is evaluating to. And you could also do it when you're writing, which would be cool. Someone asked if I have a strategy that offers FLR for USDT, what is interacting with my strategy to provide the USDT and take my FLR? So it's like the fillers do it. So right now it's bots basically. So our bots. So you're depositing tokens into the vaults, and then your strategy is defining the trade that you'd be willing to take, and then a bot is finding an arb with the market and saying like that the arb that I can get from what you're offering will cover the gas of me running this transaction. And so they go to some other like liquidity pool like Uniswap or whatever, and they make the swap and cover the gas and keep the difference. And so there's a bunch of like, that's why we talk about auctions a lot, because auctions allow you to find that perfect point where you get the best price and the person taking the transaction can cover gas.
Yeah, it's a flash swap. So the amount that your order is offering of any token, so it was Flare in this example, right? So there's a function to call on the contract. So the DEX will give the Flare to the caller of the function first. Then the caller is free to do whatever they want with that Flare. And then at the end of the transaction, the DEX will say, okay, I need this much tether now to fill the trade that based on the Flare that I already gave you. And if it doesn't get the tether back, then it reverts the whole transaction. So basically is completely agnostic to where the tether comes from at the contract level. But it does enforce that it has to come back, otherwise the transaction reverts.
Yeah. All right. Unless anyone else has any other questions, I think we're done for today. Next time I'm going to try aping into something else, and hopefully I won't lose money this time. I want to do something like, basically I want to get it to the point where I can do it at the start of our stream. I can pick a random coin on like Arbitrum or just like some network, some highly traded, highly volatile coin. And then at the end of the call, we see whether I made or lost money.
Yeah.
Just do it every stream.
Yeah.
And then once I get that, then I'll figure out, okay, how can I make it a little bit more intelligent? So maybe it spends the first 10 minutes of the call trying to pick up like a very local trend and then makes a decision. And then I could set up I could pick like 10 tokens and then I could deposit into all of them. And then if any of them pick up a local trend in the first 10 minutes, it apes. And then it sells out at the end.
I mean, it's all possible. You're setting the tone for our streaming series for like the next month at least.
Yeah. I just like the idea of because you can't usually do this, right? Like obviously you can take it really seriously and you can make serious market making, like portfolio building strategies, but also you can make really stupid fun things that you wouldn't really be able to do if you're just watching the transactions on Uniswap. And I think that's pretty fun. Especially
if you like sleeping.
Being able to trade while you sleep on a DEX, I think is pretty sick without actually having to give your tokens to a bot. I think is a pretty awesome thing.
Yeah. Well, there's no hot wallets, right? It's probably worth mentioning. If people are new, there's no hot wallets here. You deposit into the vault. It's like a smart contract. And then the smart contract handles your tokens. There's no I have to put, I'm putting $10,000 into a trading strategy. I'm going to put that in a bot. And then if my bot gets hacked, I lose all my tokens.
You literally wrote your logic is embedded in a smart contract. It's not running on a server. So it's not an off-chain thing. It's actually an on-chain smart contract that is it's like you wrote a little mini, I explained it to people, you wrote a little mini AMM. Basically, it literally is an automated market maker. You are always a maker. You're always making an offer. And yeah, you can do any logic you want. So anything you can think of, you can code. And if there aren't words, we've already created a lot of words. But even if there's words that people want, you don't have to wait for us to make the words. Anyone can add new words to the language, and all the words live on chain. The interpreter for the language is on chain, so people can just keep creating new interpreters and new extensions to the language.
Yeah, the word creation does require Solidity knowledge though. That's the only catch. So you write Solidity, and then a new word pops up in the DEX, and you can start using that word after somebody deploys that Solidity. That's basically the way it works.
The contracts that implement the word, or the ones that we've done, all immutable, have no admin keys and etc. So basically, once a word live, it will create exactly the same. Same for the underlying DEX contracts as well. Everything's on chain. All right, we're done. Peace out, everyone. See you next time.